Audio's on.
Good afternoon, I'm Casey Ingram, and I'm coming to you live today for a special broadcast over Facebook Live. I'm right here in Stuart, Florida at the Noble Paw Pet Store. And in a few minutes we're going to be meeting one of the co-owners of Noble Paw, Jill Scott. But today's topic is about assault on America's small businesses. Well-funded special interests across this nation have waged a war on our small businesses. Sadly, this war has made its way to Martin County. Be sure to listen to the end. There will be some really jaw-dropping revelations today. Certain activist nonprofits who don't pay income taxes are using our government officials, the very people elected to protect and serve us, as pawns to close down our small businesses. These businesses do pay taxes, they provide jobs, and provide items consumers want. Small businesses provide nearly half of American jobs. To give you a little background if you're just tuning in and haven't been following along with these stories, Martin County enacted a ban on the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits and gave the two existing stores 6 months to phase out of their business, forcing them to close at the end of the year. You'll have to excuse, we are in their pet store and we got little pets that are saying, don't close us down. So these stores employ 16 people between the two stores, have 0 violations. They don't even have so much as a warning. The stores and supporters alike have asked the Commission to reconsider the moratorium, and thankfully, Commissioner Stacey Hetherington has taken a very bold move for her constituents and taxpayers of Martin County and asked us to discuss the Commission meeting tomorrow, asked for the discussion at the Commission meeting tomorrow. And I really want to have a huge shout out here. Thank you so much, Commissioner Hetherington. We really appreciate your steadfast leadership with this. I'll regress to the timeline. The two stores opened in November 2021. Just a month later, Carrie Burgess from the Farm Dog Rescue emailed the Commission a 41-page packet urging the ban on the retail sale of puppies and kittens. Our county attorney, Sarah Woods, early in 22 said the board directed staff to develop an ordinance prohibiting pet store sales of dogs and cats. On February 2nd, a complaint comes in from Angela Gallahan claiming she was a former employee of the Noble Paws. This email is part of the agenda information packet, and we will discuss it in detail today. The letter and its claims were clearly not vetted by the county. Folks, this is going to be a show about the agenda packet the staff puts together for our Board of County Commissioners. County staff, of course, are funded by our tax dollars, and this packet that they put together for the commissioners is what our commissioners are basing their decisions on. It is the information they receive. And that's why it's vitally important that these commission packets tell the whole story, are truthful, and are not biased. Unfortunately, I believe this agenda packet is quite biased. I'll move on with the timeline. February 6th, Commissioner Campy forwards his complaint to Carrie Burgess and says, quote, Carrie, please see the below email. I will find out tomorrow what is happening with our item to ban these stores. March 11, a letter is sent from NALA's New Life Rescue supporter to the Commission in support of banning puppy stores and accuses Noble Paws of buying puppies from mills, but with no substantiation whatsoever of that claim. This email is also part of the county's agenda packet. This year, county staff contacted the Humane Society of the Treasure Coast, who arranged for a meeting with the Humane Society of the United States, the Florida office. They provided county staff with suggested changes to the county's ordinance, as well as similar ordinances adopted by Florida counties, such as Orange County and Manatee County. The county's Animal Care and Control Oversight Board reviewed a draft ordinance at its meeting in April. The ACCOB then recommended approval of the ordinance unanimously with some changes. June 6, one day before the vote, NALA's New Life Rescue urges the Commission to pass the ban. On June 7, the ordinance is passed unanimously. Neither store knew anything was going on at this point. They were never notified. They were never contacted. It was a complete blindside. They actually found out from the media coming to their stores and asking them how they felt about the ban. That same day, Carrie Burgess of Farm Dog Rescue gave special thanks to Virginia Sherlock for helping to rewrite the ordinance and Caring Fields Felines for co-sponsoring it. I will have to mention that Virginia did have a grandfather clause that included a draft, but that draft did not make it to the final. So let's take a closer look at the folks who began pushing for this ordinance just 1 month after the pet stores opened. I looked up their latest tax records on the IRS website from 2019. 20 and 21 years are not available. Virginia Sherlock, a board member of Caring Fields Felines, helped write the ordinance, and Caring Fields Felines co-sponsored it. Caring Fields brought in just over $874,000 in revenue in 2019. Carrie Burgess of the Farm Dog Rescue brought in just over $274,000 in revenue. Impressive considering this was her first full year of operation. Polly Campenny, who spoke as the ACC OB member at the June 7 meeting, sat on the Domino's Cat Rescue Board for nearly 20 years. And Polly is also a sponsor and filled the role as foster coordinator with Caring Fields Felines. Domino's brought in just over $199,000, and Nayla's New Life Rescue brought in just over $493,000. These 4 boutique rescues brought in $1,842,276 in 2019. This figure does not take into account other rescues in the county. The Humane Society of the Treasure Coast brought in just over $3.5 million. And curiously, Ms. Burgess stated in her public comment that she has been getting 10 to 15 intake calls a day since the pet stores opened. But this week, her website had just 12 dogs available for adoption on there. Her numbers just simply don't add up. Don't get me wrong, I want you to know I'm very grateful for rescues. They're there, they take care of the abused and abandoned animals. But this is not what this discussion is about today. It's about legitimate businesses that are being destroyed by aggressive special interest groups. And let's not overlook the National Humane Society. With close to $175 million in donations in 2019, they have launched an online attack on our 2 local small businesses who have done nothing wrong. These are hardworking mom and pop shops who do not rely on our tax dollars or donations to operate. Keep in mind, Kate McFall with the Humane Society of the United States Florida Division provided Martin County with suggested changes to the county's ordinance. Save for the dates, our moratorium is verbatim to Orange County and extremely similar to Manatee County. Orange and Manatee counties are now in active litigation for this same moratorium. More on this at the end of the show. Next is a clip from YouTuber call themselves animal haters. Animal haters exist to weed out the animal rights groups and their supporters to publicize their hypocrisy, masquerading as charity organizations and animal lovers to garner public support and donations, which they then use to pass laws and regulations that strangle the ability of people to own animals. This group was formed because of the Orange County moratorium. Iggy, can you play the clip, please?
We have with us Kate McFall, and she is from the Humane Society of the United States of America.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
No.
The Humane Society of the United States got a D from Charity Watch because they spend more than 50 cents of every dollar collected on fundraising.
Paid over $10 million to settle a racketeering lawsuit, $30 million into his group's pension plan.
And spent $49 million on their own salaries and pension plan.
Gotten poor grades from the American Institute of Philanthropy.
In 2014, HSUS put $55 million into offshore accounts. The Better Business Bureau also revoked HSUS's certification, and they only give 1% of their budget to local pet shelters.
So there we have it, folks. That's the Humane Society of the United States, a real interesting clip about them. And it's a shame, as I said, they've attacked our 2 local small businesses right here in Martin County. This truly is an attack on small businesses across the nation, and unfortunately, sad to say, they have found their way here. Now I want to welcome Jill Scott. Jill, you are the co-owner of the Noble Paw here in Martin County.
Yes, I am.
And just a few questions I'd like to ask you. And folks, I want you to know that if you go back into the comments, I just interviewed Jill on the radio show, and she really explained a lot about her store during that show. So you can go back and look at that on YouTube. We have a clip below. Also, there's a petition online. I'm going to send the respondents to that petition to the County Commission at the end of today. So please sign that petition if you want to support our local small businesses. Super important to hear from you. Or show up tomorrow morning at the Board of County Commission meeting right here in Stuart, Florida. And finally, if you go to talkaboutmartin.com, Eric Miller has graciously put together an entire page where all the clips are in one easy spot, talkaboutmartin.com. So, you know, Jill, this has been a real trying time for you. You guys just opened your store last November and completely blindsided. How did that feel to find out from the media that your stores were banned and to close by the end of the year?
It was shocking. It was devastating. Obviously, we've invested everything in the store. We believe very strongly in what we do. We were shocked that this happened in this county. It's a somewhat affluent, educated, intelligent community. We were shocked that this happened without anybody asking any questions, without anybody coming in to find out who we were. They just did it and lumped us into a group that there have been people that have done bad things in the pet industry, but I've just never heard of any local government shutting down any type of genre of business because some people had done bad things. We've never been accused of anything bad, and we were just shocked that this happened here.
And it is shocking. And folks, this is why we're going to go into this agenda packet today. It's extremely important. Again, the county staff puts this packet together for our county commissioners to vote on. And you know, we're having the second meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Hetherington, again, or we wouldn't even be having this discussion tomorrow. But has county staff reached out to you yet?
County staff has still not reached out. If I can take this opportunity to thank you, Casey, you have been a supporter like we never expected, and have so much gratitude, not just because this is our fight, but we believe very strongly that even if we weren't in this fight, that these county commissioners are doing the wrong thing for small business. And nobody has stood up for us. Nobody has been the voice of small business except you. And you have really gotten this ball rolling and gotten some traction to at least we feel that maybe we have the chance of being heard because of you and your show. And we're so grateful for that. Stacey Hetherington, I feel like she may have started this process against us, but she came in, she met with us, she spoke to me for probably 2 hours between her visit here and on the phone. She really asked questions, and I think now she's somewhat supporting, at least hearing from us and letting us have our say.
Be a voice in this whole process, and I think that's what's so important. And again, folks, this is why I'm going to go so deeply into the agenda packet the county put together. Stacy is one of our commissioners. She had this agenda packet that's very one-sided, and it was again. And I have to say, Jill, it was my pleasure to help bring this out. And I have a team of people that have really come out to speak in support of you folks. When you get online, Eric Miller, Talk About Martin, hugely supportive. And he's written some pieces for you folks as well. There was people coming to public comment that said, this isn't right. This is, you know, they feel like it's a breach on our Constitution. So
really has been very scary that this could even happen, much less that it happened here.
It is.
It was just shocking.
It's frightening. Honestly, the Humane Society of the United States, these activist groups are using our elected officials on an agenda, and we're going to go into that through this agenda, but they're using our elected officials for their own purpose, for their own goals. And it's a real shame that you have been left out of the conversation, but I have faith. I have faith that our county commission is going to bring you in, give you your voice. And you know, that's the funny part, Jill, is you told me you actually have a petition that you've made. Do you think that would help get rid of bad actors?
I do.
You're in the industry, you would know.
We have long thought that there are very simple and easy ways to tighten up regulations that the bad actors couldn't survive them. We think there does need to be oversight and regulation, and people need to follow up and make sure that pet shops are being compliant. You know, everybody loves animals. Nobody wants to see animals hurt in any way.
And after I spoke with both of these owners, one thing they were both clear to me, they want the bad actors out of business as well. Those bad actors are the reason why they're having this fight today, but they're not the part of the fight. You're not the reason for the fight, and that's the unfortunate part. You have been lumped in 100% everybody's bad. So, Iggy, if you could get ready for another clip. We're going to play Polly Campenny. She represented the Animal Care Control and Oversight Board for the county, and this was at the June 7 meeting. We're going to play her statements, and I would like you to respond to what she said.
I have the privilege of sitting on your Animal Care and Control Oversight Board, and I'm here today to encourage your unanimous support of the change to Martin County's animal ordinance. That's going to come before you later today. There are currently 2 stores operating here that sell puppies. The Oversight Board has 2 veterinaries who sit on the board, and at the last meeting, they reported that puppies sold from these establishments have required veterinary care, in some cases requiring euthanasia. Purchasers have been given documentation of breed authenticity that is incorrect, and the physical condition of the stores was inconsistent with the humane care of animals.
So let's break this down, Jill. Polly said some puppies came from local pet stores needing vet care and required euthanasia.
again, just hearing it, it's so upsetting. Where do these people get this information? Is anybody fact checking these people? With every sale that we make of a live animal, whether it is one of our rescues or the sale of a puppy that came from a breeder, we give a 14-day, no question warranty. Within the first 3 days of purchase, every new pet owner has to go to, we require them contractually to go to our animal hospital, meet with one of our veterinarians. They do a nose to tail physical exam. So they do that with the client there so they know they're going home with a healthy pet. That's the goal for that first visit. Anything that puppy could have been incubating at the time of sale that is unknown to us, unknown to the new owner, is 100% covered. There's no expense to them. Why they would have to go to another veterinarian, they have every right to go if they have a problem, but we pay for everything 100% for those first 14 days. We have a no ask question return policy. We don't want people taking pets just to try them out. I have to say that up front. But in our contract, we tell people, once you go home, if you feel you've just made a mistake, you're not sure, this is not the right time, something happens in life, we'll take that pet back. We require them contractually that throughout the lifetime of their pet, if they want to give up ownership of that pet, that we require that they abandon the pet to us, surrender the pet to us for rehoming. I don't understand why anybody would have to go into their pocket if, for example, their pet started coughing 3 or 4 days after they got home. We cover everything. I have absolutely shocking, I have no words to say to the allegation that somebody had to be euthanized. It just is not true.
And none of the ACCOB board members or vets came in here and spoke with you.
You know, that's the thing. She said as that piece was ending that our facility is not consistent with the humane care.
Yes, I
How
wanted
would they
you to
know?
comment.
Nobody has come in. We had one animal care and control visit when we first opened based on a complaint made by a passerby who just, to the best of our knowledge, had just passed by the window, had seen pups in a pen, and made a call, could they come and check us out? They came, and we passed with flying colors. They had no issue with us. That's the only time anybody officially has been here.
And again, they have no violations, warnings, or citations on file. I did check that out. Also, Polly said some purchasers were given documentation of breed authenticity. That is incorrect.
Please let me, thank you for letting me address that publicly, finally. That we know exactly who that is. A woman and her husband came in, purchased a tiny puppy, a poodle. We have 2 or 3 generations of pedigree on that animal. 2 days after she purchased the animal, she went to her vet, local vet, and the vet made a comment that remarked that she had bought the dog from a retail store, and remarked that doesn't even look like a poodle. She took that comment from a veterinarian and went on a very popular website, a Facebook page, called Stewart Moms, and she said out loud, the puppy I bought is not a poodle, the owners own a puppy mill, and all her documentation was fraudulent. We filed a lawsuit against this woman, and we are adamantly defending that lawsuit aggressively because that was our reputation. It happened months after we opened, and everything that was said was untrue. And the response she got, people were talking about literally forming a mob, almost like a lynching mob, and they were going to come to us. And then to hear that story told in front of the Board of Commissioners by people like this Polly, who are clearly not fact-checking anything, they're just repeating things or saying what they want to meet their own agenda.
Well, wait till we look at this agenda packet here next, Jill, because that's exactly how I feel what's going on. So I have the Martin County agenda packet. It supports the discussion that will be happening tomorrow, and I'm going to go over just the items in there that pertain to these pet stores. The first one is an item called pet store emails. The first email, Jill, I'd like you to respond to, I know you're familiar with it, is from Angela Gallahan. She had a lot of complaints in here, and in fact she said that she worked here. She said that she worked here for 3 days. She said that you had 42 puppies here. Animal control came and said we don't even see anywhere close to 42 puppies. She said you guys must have ran and hid them in the back even though you didn't know they were coming.
Right.
Just
and she said she bought a puppy. She
yes,
claimed
she
to
said
have
she bought a puppy. So it's very long. I'd read it, except it's very long, and I know we're a little short on time, but there's a lot of accusations in this email. I'm going to let you address that now.
She never worked here. She kept asking us for a job. We told her she could do a working interview. She came here one evening with me right at the beginning, and I was entering inventory into our computer. Almost everything she entered was transposed. It was incorrect. We decided she wasn't right for us. But a few days later, I came in, and I had not been in for the 3 days after. She was in the store, and I said to my partner, "What is she doing here?" She said, "She told me you hired her." So she kind of burst her way in, and just because of the communication breakdown between my partner and I, she had been here a couple days before we even realized she was here. We asked her to leave. She had never purchased a puppy. Her mother, an adult who lives separately, purchased a dog from us. The dog is fine, absolutely healthy, but the mother had spent 5 months disputing her credit card, and in every dispute claimed that she had returned the puppy and didn't have ownership of the puppy. We had to ultimately send a letter to her telling her that we were going to request the police arrest her for fraud. She had this animal. We had long ago paid the breeder for the animal, and I think because we kept disputing this and she clearly didn't want to pay for this animal, I think she was angry and wrote this letter to the commissioners. But she never worked here. She never purchased a puppy here herself, and everything she says in there is just, I mean, she says she called the police. I just think they were so angry that they didn't get away with having a free puppy. I think that's what her motivation was.
So folks, again, the county did not reach out to Noble Paw to find out what was going on behind that email. They just assumed everything in there they presented as if it's fact, and it just truly isn't. And the second email that they've included in their packet is from a woman who is associated with the NALA's New Life Rescue. I know she's a supporter of it at least. Her name, Mary Dubois. She said that in this, that the puppies, we all know that stores sell puppies, often sick puppies coming from mass-producing facilities or puppy mills. They do not come from reputable breeders, as the store owners would like us to believe, real breeders with puppies in these stores. So they have no issue selling their puppies. They do not need these stores. In puppy mills, breeding stock is unlucky male and female dogs that are kept in cages their whole life. So she goes on to complain about the puppy mills. And then she said that, it's her understanding the commission has received proposal to modify the ordinance and to stop pet retail sales in the country. Please put the proposal on the agenda as soon as possible. And in this, she also said that you're getting your puppies from puppy mills. So,
I mean, where do these people get this information?
you don't even know who this person is.
We don't know who that person is, and puppy mill. This term, I think people who have been on animal activists have seen over the years, especially over the last decade, how powerful that word is. Any animal lover, when they hear the word puppy mill, they, rightfully so, lose their mind. But the crazy thing to me is, again, in an educated, intelligent community, how is it that so many people just assume they know who we do business with, how those people do business, and lump them all together under this catchphrase of puppy mill? We are the biggest animal lovers there is. Our family thinks we're actually goofy because we have so many pets between us. Most of my pets are rescues. Most of them are special needs rescues. My partner and daughter has 5 or 6 animals in her home also, some of them rescues. We are animal lovers. We would never, ever do business with people that were in the puppy mill trade. Even if we do business with a breeder who at some point does something that we're not happy with, we stop the relationship. I just don't understand why all these people think they know and they have this inside knowledge, and what they say. The parents of the pets that we end up getting here are so integral to having a healthy puppy. If they're not having a great life, puppies would not be healthy, happy, wonderful pets that they are. I think people could tell in the first 3 minutes, we certainly could, where a puppy comes from. They are socialized, they're all sweet and loving and kissing everybody. Puppies that come from a puppy mill, again, I've seen animals like that, they look shell-shocked. They look like they're scared to death of people. That's not who these, where do they get this information that they're so, and they speak with such certainty to write our government?
They do, and the government uses it as an agenda packet item for the commissioners to consider without vetting it and without it talking to Ms. Scott about it. And I want to say something about Jill Scott and her daughter Rachel. If you read or watch the show from Wednesday, you're going to get a really good idea of who Jill Scott is. And her daughter, we didn't go into her background a lot on that show, but she studied veterinary medicine. These women love their dogs. They love the pets. They have a long-standing relationship of caring for animals. And Jill goes back even further than that with the things that she's cared about. She started as a nurse. She worked for Guardian Ad Litem. She started an adoption agency for Russian orphans. And by the way, that's where Rachel came in. She's one of those orphans, and Jill brought her and 2,000 children to the United States. These are women with really good hearts. So, you know, you talk about the story of the person that started working here for 3 days, and you might have asked, well, how did Rachel just accept that, you know, this woman's working? Well, while I'm meeting these women, a homeless man approaches Jill, and at the end of the conversation, she offers him a job. So Rachel understands her mom has a big heart and will hire anybody. So if somebody came in here and said, I'm working, she would have thought her mom said, I'm going to give this person a chance. And that's what happened here. That's just who this woman is. Let's move on. There's another agenda item. They called it the 2022 Pet Store Industry Trends and Leader Quotes. And folks, this is in the agenda package, and it's saying you don't need to sell puppies to be successful. According to Pet Business Magazine, the top 30 pet retailers in North America, only one, Petland, sells puppies. And according to Morgan Stanley, the pet industry is poised to nearly triple thanks to a surge of new owners. But what it doesn't mention is Wolfgang Bakery or what it also mentions, I should say, is Wolfgang Bakery and Grooming, 8th largest pet chain store industry or company. Pet Food Express, 16th largest pet store chain. It talked a lot about these big pet store chains. And folks, you know how it is. We say shop local, buy local, because these local small businesses it's very difficult for them to compete against these large retailers and online retailers. And I'm here to tell you, Chewy.com, where do we go for our pet food and dog collars? We can go to Chewy.com. So this is actually one of the supporting documents in the agenda item packet tomorrow that is really telling you you just need to reinvent, I've heard reinvent, reimagine, phase out your business. I mean, personally, as a former small business owner, it's incredibly insulting for somebody to tell me what my business model needs to change to that doesn't have any skin in the game. Jill, how do you feel?
It's so true. I own an animal hospital up in West Palm since 2013, and when we opened in 13, we had a pet supply store next door because I'm very, very opinionated about pet food and the quality of pet food. I wanted to have a store that only sold the things that were hand chosen by us and people in the veterinary industry, and that store closed down 3 years later because, you know, these big box stores sell things for less than I can buy them as a wholesaler. It's impossible today with Chewy.com and like to
Amazon.
be just in Amazon, exactly. I buy things from Chewy.com for my pets. It's just easier. It comes right to the house. I don't have to carry a 50-pound bag of dog food. The small independent business owner can't compete with them, and especially in this genre of pet supplies, it's just impossible. There is no business.
So we're going to move on to the next agenda packet item. It's called an air table, and on this it's very interesting, folks. It's the Humane Society of the United States. They have 3 breeders under the Noble Paw and 2 under Wags About You that are, I guess what they're calling puppy mills, and they have some USDA violations. So the USDA certifies and inspects breeders around the United States, and that's, I'm sure, one of the things you look at when you're breeding is to see if they are registered.
Absolutely.
And to me, the Humane Society of the United States clearly has not defined puppy mill. They define it however they want. And I actually had to look into these violations a little bit more, but I'm going to start out with Tina and Brandon Howe's Kennel. That's the first one under the Noble Paw. It said it had a 2015 violation, and
2015.
In 2015, so I looked them up. They have direct and critical violations, and then non-critical and teachable moments. So direct means they're there and they serious. Critical is serious. Non-critical, it's something you need to work on, something you need to fix. They don't have exact, definitions for each one, but basically direct and critical are the top ones that are needing immediate attention, and it could be very, very serious. Where the non-critical, the dog's not dying, it's not injured, it's that kind of thing. And then of course teachable moment is really nothing. It's, this is something that's happening you guys might want to work on. So the house, if you go to the USDA site, it goes back to 2014, and they literally, their most recent violation was a non-critical violation, one of them in 2016, and they had one in 2015 and one in 2014 over the last period of 8 years. And what do you know about the house?
I was going to say, when Tina Howe's name appeared on that list, I will vehemently defend Tina to the mat. She is hands down one of my favorite breeders. We have 2 of her puppies here, I think, today. And I called Tina and let her know. And she was aware that she was on a list. And she explained that it went back to a time that she was selling her puppies to a couple who had an independent pet shop. At some point, that couple was bought out by a Petland. She said as soon as Petland became involved, she stopped working with them, but because they had one of her puppies, she went on this list. And again, she never worked with them again. I know this woman. She has a farm. She has kids that I will recognize by their face because I've seen them in pictures over and over. I know that she will take pets and have them right by her bedside if, the puppies are born small. I would buy a puppy from her, and I will defend her to the mat. Again, I adore her. I think she is the most ethical. She always says she refuses to ever defend herself that she's not a puppy mill because she loves her pets too much. These are just good people, and the fact that she was on that list is really incredulous because, again, she's one of my most favorite, and she made it to a list, again, because she had done business with somebody who at one point ended up with a well-known chain of pet stores, Petland. But again, not fact-checked, she was accused of no wrongdoing, other than that she is a breeder, and she is. She vehemently defends that she, the favorite, I think it's a tagline that these advocates use, that no respectable, good quality breeders would ever breed to a pet shop.
They say that, yes.
And I said to her, Tina, can you respond to that? Because I adore her. And I wanted to know what her response to that was. And she said, Jill, I don't sell to a pet shop, I sell to you. She said, I know you and Rachel. I trust you with my puppies like I would trust myself. She said, she gave me an example, actually. The store that she used to sell to, that I just discussed before, was in Orlando. And that woman had bought 2 puppies from her, one when it was through the couple, and then they contacted Tina to buy their second dog, and she said she doesn't deal with, first she said, you have to deal with the store you originally found me with. And then they told her who it was, and she said, well, I don't deal with them anymore, and she sent them another puppy directly. She knows where every puppy goes, she cares about it, but she said she doesn't like to sell to somebody directly because if they're not close to her, who is their support system? She said whereas a store that's near them can be a support for diet and nutrition, training. If there's any problem that the puppy encounters for health or any other reason, that store is the one on the ground that can help that client. More and more, of course, she does not like to put her puppies on her own website because people take those images and then try to sell them to people when they don't really have the dogs. She said there's so many reasons why she chooses to like to work with a pet shop, but she stresses that she's not just selling to a pet shop, she sells to the people she knows that are running that shop. And that hit home for me because she and I have a very, very trusting relationship. And it was interesting, I never knew, when they say that no good breeder will ever sell to a pet shop, what would be that breeder's response, why they would sell to me?
Well, it's as if the Humane Society wants to get rid of any large breeder and whatever they consider large scale. These definitions are just out there. We throw out puppy mill, we throw out large scale breeder. There are no formal definitions for these things, but the Humane Society is attacking these breeders, anybody that's selling to these pet retail stores.
They are.
And it's very frightening, and there's 5 of them on this list. That's the first one, folks, and that's what I wanted to show you. This is going to be presented to the Board of County Commissioners tomorrow. It'll be very interesting to see how staff presents it. But in their packet, it looks like, oh, these are puppy mills. This is our proof. These stores are buying for puppy mills. And by the way, Martin County does not have any regulations or ordinances that they can't buy from a puppy mill. There are no regulations for these stores to follow. Maybe if Martin County had regulations that said you can't purchase from USDA breeders in the last 3 years that had a critical violation or whatever they want to do, give you guidelines to follow. But there are none right now. You've done nothing wrong.
We've done nothing wrong, but I would like to think that we hold ourselves to a higher standard even than some of the counties that have those regulations in place.
Both of you advertise on your website that you don't go from puppy mills. And what's a puppy mill to you?
You know, it's, again, such a catch-all phrase, but a puppy mill to me, more than anything else, is that the quality of life that the animals on their property, in their kennel, on their farm, wherever they're breeding, what type of life do they have? What type of care do they have? Do they have as much veterinary care as needed whenever it's needed? But the most important thing, other than the actual humanity of the care, is what is the life of the parents? Because like I said, if you are breeding animals that sit and cower in a cage, that have none of that incredible human canine bond that's what we all love about our pets.
Right.
If those animals don't have that, what could they possibly breed? Just animals that are scared and cowering and not the wonderful, lovable, robust puppies that I think families all want. You can tell those puppies. It's so crucial that not only, do they say, well, the animals get out of the cages, those parents have to have a life. And the problem when somebody chooses to breed professionally, like somebody like Tina, if they only have a few pets there, and if they're doing it right, and you can only breed a pet every 2 years, they could not support their family. They could not choose to do this for a living, to breed and show animals and get their championships. They have to have a couple of breeding pairs, or that would be abuse if they, were breeding these animals every cycle. And somebody like Tina, who actually loves them, will only breed a dog, hopefully every 2 years. That's kind of where we draw the line. The literature says every 1.5 years. I know Tina does every 2 years. We think 2 years. But I think when somebody asks about what a puppy mill is, it's substantially what the lives of the parents are and the humanity of the care that's happening on the ground. Are they cleaned? Do they have solid footing? Do they always have access to water, health? All the things we think. But I think this country needs a very strong, definitive, the officials need to say, this is what a puppy mill is.
Right.
So all these people throwing this around as a weapon to people like us, we could easily prove that that's not true if we had a very clear definition of what it is. I know what I think it is, and we would not ever work with a puppy mill trade. But people throw that word around like they know what it is.
And see, folks, this is the other side of it. What we're doing here today with Jill Scott at the Noble Paw is what the county staff has not done, what the Animal Care and Control Oversight Board has not done. They've just condemned them. They looked at this record and said, oh, one of her breeders had a USDA violation on here. It says 2015. That's a puppy mill. They didn't look any further. I looked up, all the records on the USDA are available from 2014 on. So the next one they brought up was Sharon Rich. Do you know anything about that?
We don't work with her. I don't know that name.
Oops. So I'm going to tell you anyways.
Was that on our?
It is on yours. It's SNR Kennel. Maybe you'll know it from that.
No idea who that is.
I looked them up on the USDA. They've had the most recent violation or citation. I don't even know if I'd call it a violation, but their recent citation was in 2017, so 5 years ago. And in total, since 2014, they had 4 non-criticals. Again, non-criticals.
Yeah, but I don't even know where the county would get that name in association with me because it's not even a name that I recognize.
So, County, this might be a good idea why you'd want to ask these pet stores before you put this in the agenda package, but they have it there. The next one is a Deborah Shine.
Deborah Shine, I have known actually Deborah Shine for many, many years. She is retired, and we have purchased some puppies from her daughter when we first opened, but we no longer purchase from her daughter.
And I looked her up on the USDA site. She had one non-critical violation in 2016. Her records only go back to 2016, but the rest of the years, no violations. So folks, again, I mean, they're calling these people puppy mills, and you can't speak to this, Jill, but I will. There's two for the other store. One, her name was Lindsay Forquer, and they said there's a violation, but it's not listed on the USDA website, so I couldn't verify that whatsoever, and I have no idea. It just says no access. And you know, there's something funny about that, because the other person they brought up was Sally Culver of Culver Kennels, and this is with the other pet store in town, Wags About You. What's interesting about Miss Culver is the Humane Society of Florida, Kate McFall, wrote our chairman, Doug Smith, and in her letter she said Culver was cited in the USDA for refusing to let USDA inspectors in. Well, folks, this is what she's referring to. The inspector honked the horn, called, and received a voicemail from the licensee to inform of inavailability. That's what she's calling refusing to let them on the property. Did they have COVID? Were they at the grocery store? And there's a little more to this woman's story. She could have been at the doctor. We don't know, but they presented it as refusing to let them on her property. And then she said that her property was of high concern because she was cited for an extremely emaciated dog whose ribs, backbone, and hips were easily seen, and puppies were shivering in the bitter cold. I'm not here to defend Miss Culver, but Kate McFall sent a very long letter to our commissioners, and everything in it was cited, with the exception of these reports. And she brought up a couple others as well, but there was no citing of the actual USDA reports. And that's what made me say, I want to see the reports she's talking about. So I looked them up, and with Miss Culver, it really stood out to me. That day did happen, but the reports went back to 2014. She had no violations whatsoever, and then all of a sudden, one year, she had 2 critical and 2 non-critical, all on one inspection. And I thought, that's really odd for this woman to have 0 all along, and 0 cents. What happened? So I reached out to the Culvers, and it did say 3 of the 12 puppies were shivering, and one of the dogs was skinny. And she said she was convalescing from knee replacement surgery. Folks, that was the one time, and she had somebody else taking care of her dogs. And when the inspector came, the vet care was there, but obviously it wasn't to where the level it should be. It was corrected immediately as was requested of them from the inspector. But you know,
It's like a gotcha.
It was just one of those things. It was one time, and then she went on to email me, and if I have her letter here, I hope I do, that she actually had no violations over 17 years, folks, over 17 years. And this woman is absolutely frightened because the Humane Society of the United States put her on their horrible 100 list, the worst 100 breeds in the United States. One time, folks, she was convalescing from surgery. One time. I'm not saying it was right what happened at that inspection, but it was one time. This woman has a 17-year track record, and they now have put her on the 100 horrible list, and they've sent that to our county commission. So this is why I wanted to do this show today, because this is what our county staff is deciding to present to our county commission, and it's extremely, extremely one-sided.
So much so, it's like a gotcha.
This woman didn't even know she was on the list. I felt bad. She found out through me, and she said, you know, I'm so afraid they're trying to shut me down. I don't know why.
You know, it's just, having done this for a long time and been in the veterinary business, if you have anything to do with the work with animals, you have to, in my opinion, you have to love those animals so much, because it's a job that's not a clean, pretty job.
Right.
We clean up pee-pee and poop around the clock. These breeders, I don't even know how they would do it. My golden retriever puppy is now 5 months old, and I already, with only 1 puppy, I'm done. It's hard.
It's
such hard work. I can't imagine anybody doing this kind of work if they don't absolutely love the animals, because it's again, it's not an easy job.
That's the thing that got me is, quote, this is from Ms. Culver. In 17 years, she's a 69-year-old woman. In 17 years, I have never once denied our inspectors access to our kennel. We have always given our best efforts to provide quality housing and care for our pets. This was the most unfortunate mishap. Our position hinges on the unfairness of one incident, negating 17 years of faithful care to our pets. Their position seems to be to ruin our business. And now our county commission, they didn't go in and look at her records and see every other inspection was faultless over 17 years.
And you know, like you said, it is very difficult work, this work with animals, and to negate 17 years, I just want to ask the people who are such haters of this industry, do they want the golden retrievers of the world to go away? Do they want the dachshunds? And you know, we talked about this the first time we met, Casey.
Yes.
We typically, we see people all the time that come in, and we typically want to have the breed for our families that we grew up with as kids.
That's right.
Our memories of the canine in the family is a deep-seated and a wonderful memory for most of us. And those would all go away. And believe me, we believe in rescue. We do rescue. We have a rescue right here in the store. We believe that there's a place for rescue, and we have a lot of respect for anybody opening their home to perhaps some animal who had been perhaps abused by somebody else, an animal who had been not loved and cared for and dumped. We have a lot of respect for those people, and I know you have and Rachel has, but rescue is not for everybody. People have allergies, people have health issues. You know, older people can't have an aggressive breed or a strong breed that could potentially pull them down. We see a lot of people who have lost their mate, and they're so loneliness, and loneliness is a huge factor for our elderly here. And the canine is one of their most beloved things in their life.
It is.
And they want a little pet that will sit in their lap. The reality is that those pets are not available by rescue here in Florida for the most part. I think that it's important that somebody ethical and responsible participates in the placement of pets.
Jill, I couldn't agree with you more. We talked about that a little bit with our show on Wednesday, and that is a lot of the elderly people, because they are looking for that perfect little pet that's small that'll sit on their lap. They end up turning towards Craigslist or Next or one of those sites. And you know, you're a brick and mortar store that they know they can come into hopefully next year if our county commission does the right thing, that's going to be here to support them. And it's not, you're not a fly-by-night operation, or you're not a scammer.
We're not.
I mean, you've ran into some of these folks that have been scammed off of Craigslist, and it's a shame. They show the cute puppies from, like you said, the breeder. They take it off a website. People send them money to reserve it, and then they're gone.
They're getting their hearts broken. We hear this story at least once a week. When we first opened the store, it felt like for many, many weeks, that's all we saw. For the most part, were older women. They had just lost their spouse. They turned to wanting a canine companion. It was during COVID. It was very hard to find, and they went online. And people sent $500, $1,000, $1,500. They would get a picture of this puppy seemingly growing every week and had a date in mind. And at the end of the day, that puppy didn't exist. And it's heartbreaking. And where do they go? They have nowhere to turn.
But they have two stores right now that are, the Humane Society and you know, local animal activists are really trying to shut them down, and it's such a shame. The last item on the agenda, we're starting to get down to the end here, folks, but this is a doozy, and this is one you guys are not going to believe. They labeled it the reviews on Noble Paw, and we're going to go over the reviews secondly. The first thing that they have on there is something called, I don't know which camera I'm looking at. There we go. At the bottom here, it's called QD Kennels, and it looks like it says Missouri Certificate of Veterinary Inspection, and then in big print it says QD Kennels is a massive puppy broker, middleman dealer that resells thousands of puppies each year from many different puppy mills. This is in their agenda packet for the commissioners. What do you have to say about that, Jill?
Oh my gosh. So I think it was Friday, a reporter came to the store and she had me on air, and she said to me, where do you source your puppies? And I told her how we honestly source our puppies. And then she looked at me and said, who is QD Kennels? And I said, I've never heard of QD Kennels. She said, no, you buy from QD Kennels, and it's right on the packet in the commissioners, the county commissioners. They know you buy. And I really honestly had never heard that name. So I came back and we went through documents and online, and we tried so hard ourselves to find out who QD Kennels was. As it turned out, QD Kennels was where a group of animals came from originally. We had nothing to do with that part of it. But we were contacted shortly after opening, I want to say sometime in December, and asked us if we would take in a group from the Midwest, asked us if we would take in some special needs rescues, that a couple of them needed surgery. I never thought to ask where those animals came from. We didn't care, quite frankly.
Pretty major surgeries.
Pretty major. One of them had open heart surgery. His name is Brody. He now lives with a new adoptive mother in Miami, who I'm hoping will come to the county commissioners tomorrow. We have a little dog that's here now that had to have her whole abdominal cavity restructured and put back together, basically. She's been with us 9 months. And it turned out that QD Kennels was whoever that is, some of those dogs, and I think only a couple, but some of those dogs originated from, again, I never even asked. We just were asked to take in these very, very special needs. They knew I had an animal hospital. They knew that we would then be able to place them, and we took them.
So folks, that's QD Kennels. This is in the agenda packet.
That was just half a story, and it was so unfair that they used that against us.
It is. The reporter came, blindsided her with it because she had no idea it was even in the agenda packet. You hadn't been able to see it yet. The reporter was able to get the packet a day early, and it's shocking. And you know, they did not bother to come out and ask you. They're going to use this against her as being this terrible puppy mill purchaser, when in fact, folks, she took her own funds, her own money, her own staff, abdominal restructure surgery, heart surgery. Trust me, these are not cheap surgeries. And then you're looking for adoptive homes.
Yes.
This is what our county, you know, has voted to shut down, folks.
I hope Brody's
I'm beside
parent will
myself.
come, because we don't do open heart surgery in my hospital, and it was a very, very expensive procedure, and we thought for a long time that Brody was not going to make it. But we actually got a doctor, Dr. Crystal Ramsey. She has worked for some of the not-for-profits. She is not doing that any longer, but she agreed on her day off to come to our hospital, who doesn't usually do open heart surgery, and she did the open heart surgery on little Brody.
God
So
bless
it was
you all.
It was an awesome story, but it was terrible that they tried to use that against us.
Yes, they did. And you know, you actually have the same as the rest of the public tomorrow. She only has 3 minutes to tell her story. This is why we're doing this show today, because obviously it takes longer than 3 minutes to refute what's been put in this packet. And I hope the commissioners will take some time to listen to this, but at the very least, public, you're out here. These stores, there's so much support out there. Again, sign the petition. It's going to be sent to the county commissioners this evening in support of these stores. You'll find a link in my comments below. And the other thing that they actually supplied, this one just astounds me. Google reviews. We all know how reliable Google reviews are. These stores, the two of them, have 93 reviews on Google and Facebook. The county commission agenda packet only has 4 of them. The other 89 are, you know, we don't get to see them because frankly they're 5 and 4 stars. So, you know, let's talk a little bit about these. The first one I couldn't even find. Don't go here, owner's a liar and tells customers puppies of reputable breeder while other puppies are actually from puppy mills. So here we go again. That one I couldn't even find, but she ends it with, see you in court, Noble Paw. No idea. That was March.
We have no court cases against us. We actually have a case, as I had said before, the woman who accused us of having falsified documentation about the breed. We have filed a lawsuit against her for defamation. We have no legal entanglements and no problems other than that.
The next one, the same. These are all in March, 1, 2, and 3 all together. So, you know, it's not attributed to anybody, and I can say I didn't print the responses out, but you responded to the next ones, and the county did not supply Jill's responses. The next one was a disgusting facility overcrowded with puppy mill animals. Here we go again, puppy mill animals. Go to a reputable breeder. And that was signed Angel. And it was nobody you knew.
When I saw this packet, it is so, I've said to you, Casey, I feel like so naive at my age to not have expected something like this from our local government. This is shocking that this is their packet. Nothing was fact-checked.
No.
Nothing is accurate. If they're going to use Google reviews, then please use all of my Google reviews, because we've worked hard for those 4- and 5-star Google reviews.
And the next one, Puppy Mill again. This seems like an animal activist group that decided to attack this business because they're all saying it's puppy mills. You did respond. You said you never did business with this person. And the last one was also in January. So it's 3 in March and 1 in January. And this one was about somebody adopted a beautiful Shih Tzu. And again, that was somebody that needed health care. You covered the health care, but they didn't say that in their Google review. Puppies, they're live animals, just like we all got COVID. Sometimes animals do get sick, folks. And what's key is how you take care of that issue and what your guarantee is. And there's a puppy lemon law besides.
Right. That's how we feel, though, because we don't manufacture these animals. We don't roll them off a conveyor belt and our assembly line and put them into a truck in a nice packaging. These animals, whether they're a puppy or whether they're a rescue, they're living creatures. Creatures get sick, they get hurt, they jump and they could injure themselves. They could start coughing, like as you said, with the best intention and the best precaution. We as humans and puppies get viruses. Look how many millions of people with the best precautions got COVID. And we knew it was around. We took every precaution, but millions of people caught it. With the best of precautions, our puppies can get sick, can get a virus, can get an infection. The difference is, as you said, we stand behind it. We stand behind it 1,000%.
Well, just for fun, I had to tell you that Noble Paw is 4 out of 5 stars, and Wags About You is a little over 4 over 5 stars. So I wanted to look up the county Google reviews, and you know what? If we're going to use Google reviews, they're only 3.4 out of 5, and one says they don't think things out. County commissioners are mini tyrants and violating constitutional rights since 2020. Folks, they're Google reviews. These are little bullying, that's all they are, and it's a shame the county actually resorted to using that as part of their agenda packet.
See,
Jill,
it feels so good to have somebody like you in our corner. I have to say that. I don't think that it's possible to say that enough. You are making such a huge difference, not just to us, but as you know, we feel even if this wasn't about us, this county is doing the wrong thing trying to shut down a small business because of the type of evidence they give, and your giving a forum to this is huge, and I don't know what we would have done without you.
We did want to shine light on this, and myself, I'm shocked at the agenda packets with the county commission that the staff is putting together, and this is only one instance of the county decides so many different things over the years and year and every month, and if these packets are not put together accurately and factually, you really have to question what are our county commissioners voting on. And I deeply am troubled with this agenda packet. And this is the second time this is coming back to the commission, the second time, and they still didn't reach out to these business owners, and they just took arbitrary facts. I mean, the Humane Society has put this one breeder I brought up on the 100 worst list, the 100 horrible, I think they call it. This woman, one time in 17 years. Folks, I hope you're like me and say, wait a minute, it really caught my eyes. And that's why I reached out to that breeder. And sure enough, she had extenuating circumstances. So folks, this is truly a war on small businesses. The assault is very real, and one must ask who they will target next. Taxpayers, this doesn't look good for us. Years of legal bills may be coming our way. We entrust the county commission to keep a prudent and judicious eye on spending of our tax dollars, yet they just passed this ordinance that is very similar to ordinances that are currently being challenged in court for the same reason we are here today. They have arbitrarily closed down businesses and refused to grandfather them in. Counties around us like Palm Beach and Indian River counties did grandfather them in. They are not in court. Palm Beach County's ordinance has been enacted 6 years ago and is working very well. Yet our county commission chose to follow the path of other jurisdictions like Orange and Manatee counties that have recently passed overreaching ordinances, and as a result, they are actively being sued. Both counties have been in litigation the entire time Martin County was crafting and voted in its ordinance, and they are still in litigation today. Orange County is set for trial next spring. Martin County's amortization period or moratorium clause is identical, save for the dates, of Orange County's clause, which George Stokas, our assistant county administrator, who also put this agenda package together, stated he made extensive calls to Orange County's Animal Service Division as they enacted a similar ordinance. Well, it sure was, all the same. Why didn't he bother to mention they are in litigation? Surely that would come up during his extensive conversations. Typically, organizations will not discuss items they are in active litigation about. So what is going on here? Manatee County is almost verbatim as well. Orange County is being sued by the local pet stores who filed 1 month, July of 2021, after Orange County passed their ordinance, and Manatee County in November 2021. Why is the Board of County Commissioners setting us taxpayers up on issues that will certainly go to litigation? Both of these pet stores have had to retain counsel, but fortunately they are asking the Board of County Commissioners to please reconsider grandfathering them in. In fact, they want to be a part of the discussion to ensure unethical businesses are not allowed to operate. I personally thank them, Jill, for trying to work this out. If the Board of County Commissioners is receptive, it will save all of us thousands and thousands of dollars. This could be groundbreaking, an ordinance that is crafted by the people for the people. I mean, what a concept. I'll wager this ordinance will actually achieve its purpose of getting rid of the bad actors instead of what is happening now, which is getting rid of hundreds and possibly thousands of small businesses across America in favor of activists. The Humane Society of the United States is actively attempting to close our small businesses down permanently. Please, let's stand up for them. Sign the petition today. You can write the Board of County Commissioners at commish@martin.fl.us and attend the Board of County Commissioner meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Public comment is at 9:05. The special interest groups are using our county commissioners to do their dirty work, but when a lawsuit happens, they walk away, and we the people are left footing the bill, just like what is happening in Orange and Manatee counties. Let's stop the assault on our American small businesses, folks. And Jill, while I was talking, you brought a little friend here, and I've got to see who that is.
Yeah, she was making some little peeps over there. I thought I'd one of our little Yorkies. But it just feels good to hold a puppy.
It does.
And this is a stressful event, and we have written a letter to the commissioners literally begging them to give us a half hour of their time. We will be transparent. We will answer any questions. We'll give them tours. We'll do anything we can do to give them a comfort level. We just don't understand why they're not willing to and why they're going in this direction.
It's been a very one-sided issue, and honestly, Commissioner Campy back in February reached out to the one rescue person and said, our ban on these stores, in quotes. I mean, it was intentional from the beginning to ban these stores, so it's a real shame because I wanted you to meet these stores. We've been able to meet both owners. We've seen their puppies. They're adorable. Many of you have been into their stores. A lot of you just stop by because it makes you happy to see the puppies.
It does. Puppies always make everybody happy.
They do. They do. So folks, these are our small businesses. I implore you, please, let's support them. This is shameful what's going on, and big shout out to Commissioner Stacey Hetherington. You know, she heard. Yes. That's what it's about.
She's been wonderful.
Again, these agenda packets, that's all she saw before is what they presented to her, and it wasn't a full picture. And she heard everybody saying, look at these businesses. They're good businesses. Don't shut them down. We love them. And so many of your supporters have signed that petition and people to purchase your puppies, and they're so happy with them.
There's been a lot of support. We're so grateful to them to speak out for us. So we appreciate everything. And again, so many thanks to you, Casey. We wouldn't have been able to even survive to this point if not for your help and support, bringing this to everybody's attention.
My pleasure. Eric Miller talked about Martin. I know you've been right there by my side. And folks, tomorrow morning, Martin County Commission is down there on Monterey Road, Monterey and Ocean. The meeting starts at 9, public comment 9:05. Write them a letter, sign the petition. We need all the support we can get. This is truly an attack on our American small businesses. Jill Scott, thank you so much. Noble Paw.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you again.